Well. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So tonight inshallah ta'ala that we'll try to complete what we had started in the last sitting that we had before we had the break. So in the last sitting that we had, or the last session, that we were discussing regarding of the things of the talib al-ilm, and for the Muslim that who have some inclination towards ilm, that there's books that discuss concerning adab talib al-ilm. So there's books that discusses matter relating to the conduct and behavior of the talib al-ilm. So these books, they serve as a form like guidelines and the rules and regulations and also the protocol that a talib al-ilm should follow. So it will cover various matters regarding those things that a talib al-ilm should take into account and be mindful of, so as to stay focused, and also that he follow the correct path in seeking of knowledge. So we had started discussing the book. I will mention that many of the ulama have discussed book or written books on this topic. Of those of contemporary that have written on this topic is Sheikh Bakr Abu Zayd rahimahullah ta'ala. So Sheikh Bakr ibn Abdullah Abu Zayd rahimahullah, that his book which is called Hilatu Talib al-Ilm, that became very famous. So of those books that became very famous in modern time regarding the adab of Talib al-Ilm. We find that also you have others, but this book where the author rahimahullah that he tries to kind of somewhat summarize what have been mentioned by the books that preceded him. So he mentioned in brief that what we had covered, we discussed concerning of those things regarding the Talib al-Ilm, that of those things that relate to the Talib al-Ilm and his journey in seeking of knowledge. Then he mentioned adab Talib al-Ilm fi nafsi. So the Shaykh he discussed first, and we discussed those points, or some of those points that relates to the adab the Talib al-Ilm regarding how he function as a person. So as a person, as a Talib al-Ilm, what are those things that he should be mindful of? So we have covered some of those points. So we'll go then to the next matter that he discusses, and we start where we had stopped, where he discussed al-fasl al-thani. So he discussed also in the next chapter, he discussed kayfiyat talabat al-ilm, or kayfiyat al-talab wa talaqi. So how to go about seeking of knowledge. So there's a process and a method regarding seeking of knowledge. So the talib al-ilm that has to follow that process. So if that process is not followed, then we'll have confusion. So that process, so of those things, and also we can also by knowing how and the method in which the talib are followed, that we can have an understand regarding what is the mindset and also his level. So get to understand by the method and the system that he has followed regarding how he have the thing that he has learned. Then we get then we can get an understanding of that talib, his mindset and also his level. So of those things that and also we can know if that person also is he accredited regarding ilm. So for the talib al-ilm, he needs to have some accreditation regarding his ilm. So of those things that the Shaykh will discuss concerning, the first of those that will discuss concerning how and the things that he has studied. So what are those books? What are the sciences that he has studied? So can get an idea regarding the extent of his knowledge. And also those books initially that they are studied with people who are with the Mashaykh. So in the early stage, he have studied a program, I've gone through a program, that program I've said the maratib, it have different levels. And also those levels would be, he would take them from a Shaykh and also going through a book. And the second of those things that the talib al-ilm, that a form of, to accredit the talib al-ilm, that he needs a form of tazkiyah from his Mashaykh. And so is having a form of his Mashaykh, give him some type of tazkiyah, some form of approval that this person is able to can teach others. Or I said ijaza. So you have some form of ijaza from a Shaykh that you know that this talib, he did study with him, and based upon what he has studied him, then that he believes that talib now is somewhat qualified enough that he can teach others. So those are two things that he has to bring to the table. That he has gone through a process regarding what he has studied, and that he has studied those things with the Mashaykh. Now, and second of those things we said is what? He has a form of ijazah tazkiyah. He has some form of recommendation from the people that he has studied with. So if a Shaykh says no, so those are the things that has to be looked at for us kind of somewhat to have confidence in that talib, that he has actually gone through a process and that we can now sit with them. We said if those things, any of those things are forfeited or not in place, we're not have confusion. And that we find something, a person who doesn't have these things in place, normally you find with them confusion regarding their level of knowledge. So the Shaykh Hafidullah, when he mentioned regarding kayfiyat, talab wa talaqi, so the method in which the person go about acquiring of knowledge. So he mentioned that we can somewhat go through concerns. So he mentioned that kayfiyat talab wa maratibu, that there's a method in studying what to be studied, and that they are studied with the Shaykh. And second, that study program is on different degrees, levels. So you have beginner levels, you have a level which is mutawassit, we look at it like an intermediate level. Then you have a level which is a more advanced, a mutaqaddim, and also you have like a mutakhassis, a level which is for people who are like specialists. So you have those different levels. So the talib al-ilm who wants to teach, he must have gone through the first two levels as a program, at least. So and which is rightful that he should be on his third level, which is a person looking in on a third level upwards, that he has gone through somewhat the more advanced level for him to be well grounded to teach and educate others regarding public teaching. Then the Shaykh Hafidullah, he mentioned regarding kayfiyat that you'll find that in every you might find different countries or places, locations in the Muslim world, you have a different system they have a system in place regarding as a form of curriculum. So you have a curriculum that will be taught regarding concerning in different sciences, what are the books that are taught, and in different sciences. The talib have to go through those levels. You have to go through those various science. Then I mentioned regarding concerning that, as you mentioned, of the statements of the ulama, man lam yutqin al-usul, the one who is not grounded and solid in the usul regarding usul al-ilm, hurimat al-usul, then it becomes impossible that a person would not achieve his objective. So the person who is not solid in the foundation regarding different science, then it is impossible for a person to achieve his objective or to reach the end, to achieve his objective. So that's concerning, and I mentioned man rama al-ilm jumlatan, the person who tries to gather everything in one go, dhahaba anhu jumlatan, and everything will go suddenly. So the person trying to get everything in one go, then it is somewhat difficult. Rather, you find that the person, everything will just go all at once. So he mentioned regarding concerning that, then Shaykh Hafidullah, he mentioned, as for today, that the general thing regarding concerning al-ilm, that you have concerned that the system, you have muhtasarat, that are like brief works in different sciences, that will be what the person will study, and they will be explained. The second thing, so the person have to have a series of books that they have gone through. So the program, the curriculum that the person will follow will have books that are studied in different science. And also those books that they are studied with a sheikh, with a teacher. And the teacher, the sheikh, the ustad, whatever name that is referred to as, so it's not about, is that the main thing that is qualified. The criteria for the sheikh, that is what? Qualified in the thing that he's studying. So it is not a requirement that for the sheikh, as some people say, no, that one sit with the kibar ulama. A lot of time we hear the statement being made that the person that you need to go and sit with the kibar ulama. That statement is just something that is said, but in most part, no, it is not something which is followed. It's not a rule that is followed. The kibar ulama, in most people understand that in some places, yes, you can sit with them, but in most part, most people don't sit with them. Also that many who claim to sit with people didn't sit with the kibar. Many who claim that they have sat with someone, in actual fact, didn't sit with the kibar ulama. So the main thing that you sit with someone who is what? Qualified in that field. That Sheikh will discuss concerning the criteria of the Sheikh, but the main thing that Sheikh is someone who's mutqin, is somewhat also well grounded in that field or in that book that is being taught. And also you find that of the 13 regarding the talib, that also for him to know is level. Where, as they mentioned, that the Sheikh mentioned, Adam al-ishtighal bil-mutawwalat, that a person who's in the beginner level, the starting level, is not busy himself with books on the higher degree. So the person at the starting level is not per se overly concentrating and looking into books that are of the highest level, the higher degree. Then that becomes problematic. So the person, you can somewhat, as they would say in English, you stay within your lane. So if you're in the person that you stay within your lane, especially for the person who's in the early stage of their study. And also the person not to, as I said, the person لا تنتقل من مختصر إلى آخر بلا موجب. Also the person that be jumping from one book to the next without completing it. So you start with one book, you finish a few chapters, then you go to a next book, and you can somewhat follow that pattern. You haven't really started a book and completed it, but you can somewhat have taken from this 2 pages, and then go to a next book and you take 2 pages or 4 pages, and that becomes the person pattern. Then that is also unacceptable. That's confusion. So the person knowledge becomes scattered. It's all over the place. You cannot pin him down to anything because he's too scattered in the program that he is following. So those are the things the person that is mindful of regarding is the program that he's following regarding seeking of knowledge. Then the Shaykh Hafidullah, then he went into regarding also, then the next thing is the program to be followed. And then somewhat he give an example by way of the location that is located in, that the program that they normally follow regarding what they teach within that program. So the program that they follow, that they have certain science, and to each of the science and with its level, you have particular book that are taught in different science and for different level. So for each student to know his level, and then he will sit with the people or sit with those of his level. So he mentioned regarding concerning, so you might find that in something it may vary from one place to another. So it's not like one system that everyone must follow. It's not like one system that everyone must follow. That if you don't follow that system, then So like for every science and for every level, you have multiples of books that can be taught. So for each level, you have various multiples of books for the different levels, but you might find in a particular area, some books become more well-known in that particular area, that these are the books that are studied. But it doesn't cancel other books. It doesn't mean that those books are the best books. It doesn't mean that it's on that level, it's of those books that are said to be of those ones that are generally considered a reliable book in that field for that level. Type. So then he went on to give some example regarding concerning those different, he said, curriculums. So he said that these madaris, whether inside universities or inside the masajid, they consider what the book structure they follow and teach. It just kind of someone said, it's just a curriculum. So that the student can know, can understand, we said it now, the usul of ilm. So he gave an example regarding these things, regarding that. So how to measure a student. So you want to sit with a student and say, okay, what did you study? Then you can get we said, you can get to understand his level and also his mindset based upon what he has studied. And also you can understand, did he finish a proper program or he didn't? So they mentioned regarding concerning that in certain places that is taught in general regarding in the masajid and in the madaris regarding ilmiya, you have beginners, then they mention mutawassit or mutamakkin, and those who are more fully grounded. So they mentioned regarding concerning the examples of this, that in matters relating to at-tawheed wal aqidah. So in the bab, in the field of aqidah wa tawheed, what are the normal materials that are studied in a particular area. So you mentioned that in the area, the region that is located or from, you mentioned that what is normally the program that is taught and followed, that they have for at-tawheed / aqidah, they have ثلاثة الأصول وأدلتها. So you have ثلاثة الأصول, قواعد الأربع, كشف الشبهات. Then كتاب التوحيد. So you find a certain region and you might find that that's the book that is, those 4 books are generally taught. ثلاثة الأصول, قواعد الأربع, كشف الشبهات, and the 4th would be كتاب التوحيد. All by the same author. Which is Shaykh Muhammad Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah. All those books, they're more that centered on the topic of at-tawheed al-ibadah. Tawheed al-ibadah. So those books, they don't give you that. So those books are more topic-led books, where they discuss a specific topic more so. So they'll give you an overall picture of all the masail of aqidah, give you more so regarding in matters of tawheed, tawheed al-ibadah. So then you have other books. We said that, so that those are not the only books on that topic. So you might find different region, they might have their own books that they may study, but those are the ones that are said the more popular amongst those books. Then also you mentioned in Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat that the system that is followed, that they usually start with al-Aqidah al-Wasatiyah. So the normal system is Aqidah al-Wasatiyah. Then they'll go to al-Hamawiyah, and then 3rd book, Tadrumiyah. All of these three books are by Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. So all those books are more so in the field of what? Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat. Al-Wasatiyah, that you could say that is like in 2 parts. That the author rahimullah, he discussed the first section of the book part, more so discussed regarding matters regarding Asma wa Sifat. Then the other, he discussed concerning matters regarding Al-Qadr, matters regarding Iman, and other matters of Aqidah. But it doesn't cover all the masail of Aqidah, even Al-Wasatiyah. Then we said Hamawiyah, the next of those books, then Tadrumiyah, all in the area of Tawheed, Al-Asma wa Sifat. Get your finger up? No. So that other books that you have, like Ibn Uthaymeen of contemporary, that he has a book called Al-Qawaid al-Muthla, that is like a beginner's book for in principle regarding Asma wa Sifat. And Hamawiyah Tadrumiyah, that Ibn Taymiyyah also, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen also have some muqtasarat for those books. Then he mentioned in the book area of said matters of Aqidah in general. So in studying of Aqidah in general, the book that he mentioned, which is normal concerned, Al-Aqidah al-Tahawiyah. So Al-Aqidah al-Tahawiyah. So Aqidah al-Tahawiyah, Abu Ja'far al-Tahawiyah, that is a Hanafi. So this book, Aqidah al-Tahawiyah, that you have many explanation. So, but it's a book that is studied among Salafi wal Khalafi. So you find that in the Madaris of the Salafiyah, then Tahawiyah is studied. And you have the more a detailed explanation is one by Ibn Abi Izz al-Hanafi. Ibn Abi Izz al-Hanafi. So he has a very detailed explanation of this book. And he quotes a lot from Ibn Taymiyyah and also Ibn Qayyim, but due to said that the politics of that time, he didn't mention them by name. But it made a mention took a lot of stuff from their sources, but didn't mention them due to the politics of that time. So I said that book is studied in the Madaris al-Salafiyah. So Tahawiyah. Also you find amongst the Ahnaf, like the Ahnaf madrasa for the Hanafiya type of madrasa of Diyoband, that also they study in their madrasa that concerns Dar al-Ulum and Nizam, their system that they have in place, that they also study Aqidah Tahawiyah, but in a way which is Ash'ariyah or / Maturidiyah approach. So you have the Salafi approach of teaching Aqidah Tahawiyah, then you have the Maturidi and also the Ash'ari approach regarding how they study the book of Aqidah at-Tahawiyah. And you find that they have many explanations. So that's the thing to be mindful of. So they mentioned so that you have books that also, for example, regarding matters regarding, before I go finish, like I find that of the ulama they mentioned regarding matters of books that relates to at-Tawheed wal Aqidah. Now, for example, they mention you have books that we have mentioned. Then you have books which said are musnada, that are the books that have chains of narration, like the main books in Aqidah, which will be, for example, Al-Ibana Al-Kubra, also Al-Sharia Lil-Ajuri, Shar Usul Itiqad Al-Sunnah Wal-Jama' Lil-Alaka'i, Kitab Al-Tawheed Ibn Khuzaymah, and Al-Hujjah fi Bayan Al-Mahajjah by Qiwam Al-Sunnah. So those books are like the main books in Aqidah because they are the books that said musnada. But those books that they come with isnad, and also with those books that it has to be taught by someone. Also, you find out the ulama what they did because of those who said those are the primary books in Aqidah and the original books in Aqidah. You find out the ulama who came after who can somewhat try to structure and summarize those works. With me? So you have the ulama who came after and try to put to make things more, to simplify how to study Aqidah and put in a certain structure. So you find other books that came after. Those are books that you find that are studied more so in the masajid. So you find concern that of those books that are studied that belong to Al-Ittiqad, Al-Iqta, Ibn Qudama, and the books of that nature. So you find those books are books that came after, but they kind of somewhat summarize what have been mentioned by the ulama before. And have put their books in a certain type of structure. You find that Sheikh Salih Sindi, Hafidullah Ta'ala, one of the Sheikh from Medina, who specializes in Aqidah, they said if a person wants to be a rusukh, a person wants to be a specialist and well grounded in matters of Aqidah, he mentioned them to study 5 books. He stated 5 books to be studied for a person who wants to be, you understand, a specialist in that field and well grounded in that field. So he mentioned the first of those books, he mentioned Kitab Tawheed. And he said with that book, Kitab Tawheed, with the explanation that is referred to as Taysir al-Aziz. So study Aqidah, Kitab Tawheed with that explanation. Even though the author of that explanation did not complete the book, but he mentioned that one as the explanation to follow. Then he mentioned the second book, which he mentioned is Aqidah al-Wasatiyah. Al-Aqidah al-Wasatiyah. Then Aqidah al-Wasatiyah, then so the person would, with Aqidah, then the person would go to an explanation that is called Tanbiyat as-Saniyah. Tanbiyat as-Saniyah. Which is written by Sheikh Abdul Aziz al-Rashid. Which he said that's one of the, that he praised that explanation. He praised that explanation somewhat. Then I mentioned the third book regarding studying Aqidah, want to be very strong in Aqidah, that he mentioned Al-Aqidah at-Tahawiyah. As we had mentioned before, Aqidah at-Tahawiyah, with the Sharaf Ibn Abi Iz, Rahimahullah, Ta'al Hanafi. Then he mentioned a fourth book, which is, it comes, you have Al-Sawa'iq Al-Mursala by Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi. Al-Sawa'iq Al-Mursala. That's a book regarding Asma wa Sifat, wa Rad al-Mu'attala, wa Jahmiyyah. But we don't have the full book in print. We just have a portion of it. So the full work is not available to date. We only have a portion of that book. But you find one of the ulama, al-Mawsili, that he had a mukhtasar of it. So that book, large, come in many volumes, so someone condensed it. So we have the original thing, but not the full work, but we have the mukhtasar of it. But a very important, but he mentioned that the person should study that book also. And the fifth book that he mentioned is a book that they call Tariq al-Ijratain, which is by Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi. So the person who study these books, then the person have a good foundation, a good comprehensive knowledge of matters of Aqidah, according to Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. You have other books that are there regarding concern. You have a book that goes in detail. So you have other small books when we went like in Birmingham of recent, when they studied the book by Sheikh Hassan Khan. Qatf al-Thamar, that is a book that also a very small book, not a small book, but to be a decent enough book to be taught, to understand the overall masail of Aqidah, give you a very generalized, give you an overall view of the books of Aqidah. Also you have a book like I'lam as-Sunnah al-Manshura by Hafidh al-Hakami. Also that book is very good, where he put question and answer regarding matters of Aqidah. So he make it like just over 200 questions. They call it so I'lam Sunnah al-Manshura by Hafidh al-Hakami, and other books that of recent you find many books of the ulama of old that are now in print regarding matters of Aqidah. Then the next thing they mention, then you have also a book that goes in detail, and those books are sufficient. Then they mention regarding an-Nahu, that also the person studying an-Nahu. So what will be the books to be studied? Ajrumiyya as a beginner book. Then they mention Mulhaq al-I'rab. Then also he mentioned al-Harir lil-Hariri. Then he mentioned Qatf al-Nada, and also he mentioned Alfiyat ibn Malik. So these are those books that are studied regarding Aqidah. So Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, all the person who started Ajrumiyya, then he can go straight to Alfiyat ibn Malik. Ibn Taymiyyah, all the person who studied Ajrumiyya very well and understand it very well, then he can go straight to the middle books. He can skip them and go straight to Alfiyat ibn Malik. But we said, but of those things, the person who study of those books are books of that type. Books of that type. Then he mentioned Alfiyat. Then he mentioned regarding concerning Hadith. So regarding concerning Hadith, that he mentioned the books to be studied. Regarding the Talib, which he mentioned Arba'in, An-Nawawi, Umdat al-Ahkam, the Abdul Ghani al-Maqdisi. Then, so that's on this level. So first, Arba'in, An-Nawawi. Then the next level would be Umdat al-Ahkam lil-Maqdisi, which is a book regarding the book of Maqdisi, is a book where he went to Bukhari and Muslim and took hadith that mainly discuss concerning that both agree upon, that relates to Ahkam al-Fiqh. So about 450 hadith to 500, but about 450 hadith. That he mentioned the next level would be Bulugh al-Maram by Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Bulugh al-Maram by Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Then the next book he mentioned after would be Al-Muntaqa lil-Majd ibn Taymiyyah. So Al-Muntaqa lil-Majd ibn Taymiyyah. So Al-Muntaqa Majd ibn Taymiyyah is what is studied in some university. The explanation by Shawkani, that's studied in universities. So certain also, and Bulugh al-Maram, Umdat al-Ahkam are the more generally studied in Masajid. They are the ones that are generally studied in the Masajid. Now, regarding concerning these books, Allahu Alam, that these books generally concern the ulama of hadith, that they see these books are books to be memorized. These are books to be memorized. Now, and they are written, you understand, but because we have, so after these books are mentioned, after you study these books, you go to Bukhari, Muslim, Kutub al-Sittah. But these books are mainly meant to be memorized. Kutub al-Sittah is to be taught. But because we have left the teaching of Kutub al-Sittah, we rely upon these other sources. But he mentioned as hadith, these are the things the person will study regarding Ilm al-Hadith. Then he mentioned regarding Ilm al-Hadith, we have al-Mustalah. So these are the books that he mentioned called Mutun, Kutub al-Mutun Hadithiyah. Then, so the general book also the person will be familiar with regarding hadith books would be, yes, Arba'in, but also Riyad al-Salihin, Kitab al-Adhkar, and the likes. Then I mentioned Kutub al-Mustalah al-Hadith. Kutub Mustalah al-Hadith, he mentioned of that Nukhbat al-Fikr, Nukhbat al-Fikr li Ibn Hajar. Then I mentioned Alfiyat al-Iraqi. And also Suyuti as also is Alfiyah. So you have those two Alfiyah that are generally mentioned, Alfiyatan, that are mentioned Suyuti and Iraqi. As what he mentioned here regarding in Mustalah, he mentioned Nukhbat al-Fikr, that in most it is studied a lot, and then that's by Ibn Hajar. It's about few pages. That book is about few pages. Can be read quickly, easily. Then Ibn Hajar, when he wrote this book, that Nuqbat al-Fikhr, then you find that he then explained it in Nusa and Nazar. So he went on to explain what he was saying. So there's a matin that he wrote to be memorized. Then he went on to explain it. Then you find that you have now in print, you may find easily over 50 different explanations. Can be found for that book easily. Yeah, that small book with all, you understand, so you have explanation for Nukhbat al-Fikr and also you have explanation for Nusrat al-Nazar both by Ibn Hajar. So he did Nukhbat al-Fikr, then he went on to explain it. Even during his time, other people explained the book before he did. So people explain it before he did. Shamunni explained before he did. So that become like a household book in studying of Mustalah. But the thing is that the people who specialize in hadith, they will tell you that book is not for beginners, even though it is mentioned as a book for beginners. So even though it is mentioned as a book for beginners, Nukhbat al-Fikr, but in reality they mentioned because of that book of what it contains is not really for beginners. But because it is small, people think that is for beginner. So you have other books that could be replaced regarding concerning for beginners, but you find a discussion between ulama of hadith that is not really, if the person is a beginner, you need a teacher who is very strong in hadith to teach you that book. You want someone who is strong in hadith to teach that book. You have a few online I've tried to teach a book, but it's not to the standard. You have a few online I've tried to teach that book, but it's not to the standard. Then he mentioned as fiqh. Then next he mentioned fiqh. So if as for fiqh, it goes back to each. We go back to general concerning fiqh that is studied today. You have either based upon the books of Madhab al-Arba. So either you have the Hanafi as their own program of books to be studied from from beginners, intermediate and onwards. Then you have also the Maliki, the Shafi and the Hanabila. So each have their own set of books that you will study in different order. Each have their own. So if I said that's a general practice in most places. Then you might have those, you have some books also of the Zahiriya Madhab, where they have also their own set of books. So you have the Zahiriya, they have their own set of books to be studied. But said it's not of the more popular of the Madhaib, but it is still alive. Then you have what now become a study program, which is, so said, the ulama mentioned regarding studying a madhab is not per se our issue, because it's just a syllabus, a program to study. So you can understand what are the masail, what are the matters concerning salat, what are the things that needs to be covered regarding salat, and also what is the evidence for it. So studying through a madhab is not per se an issue for the ulama of past and present, even to ulama Salafiyya, even though people say Salafiyya is against madhahib, is not understanding what they're against. What the Mashaykh Salafiyya are against, and Dawt Salafiyya is against, is ta'assub ila madhab. The person who is ta'assub is like a fanatic towards a madhab. He's a fanatic, where he only looking only what is in the madhab, and he does not go outside it, right or wrong. He cannot see outside that box. Then that's a problem. So whether the evidence, the dalil is for or against them, it's in the madhab, that's it. Then that's when a person has that ta'assub, this blind following, rigid blind following, and this heretic, or what's the other word we use? So the person who has that type of approach, fanatic towards a madhab, then that's wrong. And see that what is madhab, what it contains, it is, you understand, he's going to hold to it regardless. I'm Hanafi, and Hanafi I'm going to die. Or I'm going to die, I was born Hanafi, or Shafi, or Maliki, or Hanbali, and I'm going to die as such. Then that's a problem. Then that's a problem. So said the ulama, they are against concerning ta'assub towards a madhab. But studying a madhab, then that per se is not an issue with a person knowing the dalil, and also if the madhab, their position, it goes against a dalil, or in another madhab, the evidence is stronger, then you go with that madhab. So that's concerning. So the Shaykh mentioned regarding concerning in that area, that they mention adab mashiyah salat, they mention zad mustaqna, للحجاوي الحنبلي والعمدة الفقه والمقنع والمغني. So you have different levels of books that they study in the Hanbali fiqh, also in Shafi, also in Maliki, and also in Al-Hanafi. They have their own books. But said the problem with that is the person who's muta'assib. Wal muqallid, taqlid al-ama, the person, the blind follower, and put his hand over his eyes and cannot see outside the madhab. Now, even when there's no, when he see evidence from the other side, he will not accept it. Then that's a problem. So, said Dawat al-Salafiyah or Mashaykh al-Salafiyah, them also teach books of the madhahib, but with a concept of not of ta'assub, but with dalil, with ta'lil. That way, if you find also that even online, that because of some of the students who have graduated from a place like Al-Mamlaka Al-Arabiya, Saudi, and coming back, and they kind of more inclined to teaching of fiqh al-Hanbali. That you find that even amongst the Hanafi now, they're kind of somewhat trying to say, no, stepping up their game. Try to kind of somewhat put their thing out. But I said the problem with you said is ta'assub. Whether concerning if a student who have studied whether in Saudi or in Misr or in Urdun or in Yemen and is muta'assib, then it's unacceptable. Unacceptable to our madhab. Then that's unacceptable. Then also in studying of fiqh, they think the person who studied books in the fiqh. Then also for the person who studied fiqh, have studied usul al-fiqh. So that will come also usul al-fiqh. The ulama, they discuss regarding which is to be studied first, usul al-fiqh or fiqh. Which of those two sciences should precede each other, fiqh or usul al-fiqh. The usuli, they discussed this matter, said, but overall, for a person to be a teacher, he has to study. If you're going to teach fiqh, he must have studied usul al-fiqh. Or you want to discuss matter regarding fiqh, then he has to study books in fiqh, a full system. Then also, not just a beginner book, because sometimes the beginner's book, for example, Adab Mashiyah Salat, and also some madhahib, that the books in that as a beginner book, they just teach you Salat, Tahara, Salat, Zakat, Hajj, and Siyam. And as a starter, as something to start with. Then the next level, and like so you have different level of muqtasarat, but overall, that the person will study fiqh from start to end. Then next, he will study usul al-fiqh. And also, he has to study third, qawaid al-fiqhiyya, qawaid al-fiqh. And the next level, regarding a person who wants to study fiqh and master that also, al-ashbah wal-nadha'ir, these are also books of furuq al-fiqhiyya. So you have all those things related to fiqh. So with fiqh, you have all those things that are intertwined in studying of fiqh. That a person, yes, study a matan in fiqh, more than one mutun to a certain degree. And you find that even you think that find some that they really study books in fiqh because they have no knowledge of fiqh. Because they haven't studied something which will equip them to teach fiqh. And also you find the next degree, we find that even most of those who teach of fiqh outside salat, which is sifatu salat of Al-Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah, that will be studied. They might study ahkam al-siyam, which is more straightforward. Outside this, then they become blind. They become blind men. Because they don't say Hajj is based upon experience. So they might have a little insight into Hajj. As for zakat, then that also, they somewhat also said no, will have problem with zakat, ahkamu zakat. As for bab of buyu, then forget about it. That's like kryptonite to them. Buyu to be like business transaction. Riba, this type of business transaction. Bab concerning al-ankiya, bab concerning al-nikah, talaq. Also those things will be, even though they have some idea, some fatwa, but they haven't studied it improper. Babul hudud, Also, those things would not be things that they have studied in detail regarding Islamic punishment. Nam. So you find that outside Bab of Ibadat, outside that you find many who kind of somewhat will be falling over themselves. Would be, and I'm saying, and I'm not, I'm saying, I'm being realistic. Nam, I'm being realistic. That many will start to fall over themselves. And most also will fall in A. So you find that they'll fall over themselves. Allah Mustan. They also said, so Usul al-Fiqh will be the system, which is Warakat by Juwayni. So you have Warakat al-Juwayni. Even though Juwayni, Nam, is Juwayni Ash'ari. Kibar ulama Ash'a'ira. Juwayni, Kibar ulama Ash'a'ira. Nam. But his book in Warakat is a book that is a standard that is studied as a beginner level. Even though, and also in Shafi, but even the Hanabila, they will study it. Even the Hanabila, they will study the book of Warakat as a beginner level. But then you have other books of recent that have come out. So you find, yes, and so you have many. We said you have many other books that could replace, we said, that are similar to this book. Then also you have Rawdat al-Nazir, which is now a next level. Nam, that by Ibn Qudama. So the thing about of the ulama, you find that an alim who's a faqih, but also he has works in Usul al-Fiqh, then that's the one that is works that you want to study. The one who, because you have the theory and also the practice. Nam Sheikh. So you have Ibn Qudama, he has book in Usul al-Fiqh, so you can, and books in Fiqh on different levels. He has a syllabus.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam rasulullah wa ba'd. So in continuing, inshallah ta'ala, that so said that in studying of fiqh, that a person not just study a matter in fiqh, but also you have studied what? Usul al-fiqh, and also of the other science that relates to fiqh, you have usul al-fiqh, we have qawaid al-fiqhiyya that are also attached to al-fiqh, and also we have al-maqasid al-shar'iyya. So you have also books of maqasid al-shar'iyya. So you have these books that discuss concerning what's the objective of the sharia. So you have different books. We have relating to al-fiqh, that a person that even have access to those books or have studied at some level, where then he can move on. But not just. So those are the things that a person have to be mindful of. Then also you have al-fara'id, that a person also will study with a part of fiqh. So in the books of fiqh, they'll discuss fara'id, which will be inheritance. But you find that also in that area they have books specifically on that. It's like a science by itself within fiqh. So fara'id, they usually can somewhat discuss it. They discuss on its own within the books of fiqh, or within the field of fiqh, within the field of fiqh. Then after you have a tafsir. Then you have books of tafsir, which they would study. So of tafsir, they were mentioned of tafsir, you have books written of different manahij in tafsir. But of tafsir, that Ibn Kathir, you have Sheikh As-Sadi, which is something that the tafsir of Sheikh As-Sadi can be just you have those books that, for starters, like in most of the Muslim world outside, you find that of the books that were popular regarding tafsir, you have Jalalain. So you find it in certain madaris of the Ashari madaris, of the works than tafsir that they kind of more study, they understand or rely upon. They'll do Jalalain, which is by Suyuti, and also Mahalli, both of them is Jalalain. Then they'll go to, then you have Tafsir Baydawi. So Baydawi also Ashari. Nam. So his book, so those are the books that they rely upon. And you have a Nasafi, also a book in Tafsir. And those books, those three, Baydawi, said Jalalain, Baydawi, Tafsir al-Baydawi, and also we said a Nafasi. That those are the ones that I rely upon regarding concerning the Ashari type of, Matri type of Madaris. Nam, and that's especially regarding concerning when the Ottomans were in charge. Nam, those books were, what was the book that were, the books that were taught. Everything revolved around those books. So you find that for a person to be a recognized alim of a certain level, you have to have explained Tafsir Baydawi. So you find it have many explanations. It have many explanations. So those books you find have many explanations because they were the center focus of books in Tafsir during that time period. So you find a lot of attention given to those Tafsir, or said no, because of the books that was recognized by the state during the time of the Ottomans and the Ashari Madaris. You find that Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, you understand, so of those one Ibn Kathir in the Madaris al-Salafiyah, then will be Ibn Kathir, then you have Al-Baghawi, those books will be the ones that are studied. Ibn Kathir or Al-Tafsir Al-Baghawi will be of those ones that will be in the forefront in the Madaris al-Salafiyah. Then you have Usul al-Tafsir. So you have with Tafsir, Usul al-Tafsir, and also Ulum al-Tafsir, Ulum al-Quran. So with Tafsir, you have books of Tafsir, then you have an example attached to Tafsir, which would be that a person also, in some books of Tafsir, that will be in the Muqaddimah, that will be in the introduction of their Tafsir. So you have Usul al-Tafsir and Ulum al-Quran. So those two, for a person who, regarding Tafsir, a person must have studied something in that field. Ulum al-Tafsir, Ulum al-Quran, and Usul al-Tafsir. One must study something in that particular field. So you have a Suyuti of books in Ulum al-Quran, standard book, and also a Zarkashi. Those are the two standard that are there. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. Then you have other contemporaries who have written in that field. You have others contemporary written regarding Ulum al-Quran, but the person, talib, must have studied something regarding Tafsir, Ulum al-Quran, and Usul al-Tafsir. No, that's the Qiraat. So that's an Ulum al-Quran will give a concern, it will discuss regarding al-Wahi. Different, so it give you the different overview of the things related to the Quran. So revelation, I would start a different type of revelation. What was the first verse that revealed? What was the last verse that revealed? The order of the surah, the order of the ayah, what's the aqwal. Also, it will discuss concerning Qiraat, different Qiraat. Also, it discuss, you understand? So it go through many other things. An-Nasikh al-Mansukh. You understand? It will go through, so it becomes, like I said, Ulum al-Quran, which become different subjects are discussed in that field. Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah, he did went off. Not did he went off. He did go off. He did go off. I'm saying, yes, sir. Yeah, the gentleman said that. The book itself, yes. As for the author, then غفر الله لنا. Allah yahdiyana. وهو. Hey, so, from, yeah, we've mentioned names, but, so said, said in that field, yes, that a reasonable good book. Now, but it's an English-speaking book, so give a general overview of things related to the Quran and different sciences related to Al-Quran. Then, so said, that's concerning Al-Quran. Then also you have concerning matter regarding As-Sirah. That a person also, because that's that extension of the Sirah. of ulum al-Quran, of ulum al-Hadith. So the person also studied things regarding seerah. So you find, for example, muqtasarat, that a person will start with muqtasarat, those summary. You have Ibn Kathir of his Fusul, you have Muhammad Abu Wahab of his Muqtasar, and Ibn Sayyid al-Nas, and many others. You have Rahiq al-Makhtoum, also in English. So those books are books that a person will start regarding studying of as-seerah, understanding of the life of the Prophet ﷺ. Then he goes up to other books, of the more famous one, that is Zadul Ma'ad. So Zadul Ma'ad is a book in seerah, but in a different approach, which is a book in seerah, not in the normal order, sequence that we know. The Prophet ﷺ birth, before birth upwards, he did it concerning, but it said it is fiqh seerah. So this is about salat and go in detail regarding salah. Hajj, discuss detail regarding, or the Prophet ﷺ performed Hajj. So he goes in detail by way of the fiqh of the seerah. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah. Then we have concerning the studying of the language. Also of the thing to be attached to the Muslim should study concerning the talib, that concerning as-siyasat al-shar'iyyah, which is Islamic governance. I don't say politics. Islamic governance. So how to concern is in a sense, so Islamic governance, how is this to be done? So what we have today concerning politics, that as Sheikh Albani rahimahullah mentioned concerning that, min as-siyasa tark as-siyasa, of politics of today is leaving away politics of today. Because the politics of today, it has no rules. The politics of today, it has no rules. So you have to be very careful of what you say and not to be hasty regarding the politics of today, because a lot of it is treachery and lies. A lot of politics today is treachery and lies and deception. So you have to be very careful regarding the politics of today. Both said in Islam, they are as-siyasa al-shar'iyyah, how to govern a state. How to govern a state. So I will go through concerning that the names you can give to the person said to be the head of state. Also what's the shurut of how to choose an hakim, the ruler, what's the criteria of the hakim, what is expected towards, and different things regarding those matters. There are books in that, many books in that. You understand? Many books. So something for the ones who talk about these things, the unfortunate thing, they haven't read anything Islamically on that. That's the problem. They haven't read anything. Ibn Taymiyyah works on that. So you find books on that topic that are there. Some come in volumes, and some are muqtasar. But we find that many who speak haven't read anything on those topics. Fallah musta'an. So that also I think the person should have an awareness. The talib al-ilm should read on that topic. Also things regarding adab wa suluk. So matter regarding conduct and behavior, also of those books to be studied. So books of that nature to be said regarding books of raqa'iq, that soften of the heart, how to purify and cleanse one from bad habits and more inclined towards good practice and habits. The talib al-ilm also, you understand, need to study books of that nature. You have Imam Bukhari rahimahullah have a book, Adab al-Mufrad, Bayhaqi, and others who have written books regarding adab. So the Muslim also, the talib, study books of that nature, so as to make sure that himself said that he's sharp on his behavior and conduct. So those things also to be considered, and also the language and the likes. 1 minute. And the last thing that they mentioned, so that's the syllabus. So let's see the talib ask him, what did you study? What did you study? In tafsir, in this. If he cannot give you a full program or close to a full program, then it means that you have to be very careful of that person. To an extent, if he's still speaking outside what he's supposed to have studied and beyond what he has studied. So a person who study, so you find that, unfortunately you find that some, that they like to discuss matters regarding Aqidah. Most of them have not studied a proper detailed book in Aqidah. That's the reality. They haven't studied a detailed book in Aqidah. They may have studied a beginner book, but haven't studied beyond this. And they more dwell in matter regarding at-tabdiyah, wa tafsiq, wa takfir. So they misguide the people and they themselves are misguided. Aywa.
Questions, yeah? Sheikh, you said about you began the thing that said how does one know when he's qualified? And you said some of the teachers don't really have to sit with the about ulama. But so how do you know the person's qualified in the science that he's teaching?
Him to themselves is by what he have studied and with whom.
Yeah, so
But you can ask him.
Okay, good.
Or say,
Yeah. And another one is just a general question, yeah? If a person, he comes with Juma, yeah, and he stands up in the Saf, but he feels so...
that's not our topic.
That's off topic issue.
Okay.
Yes, off topic issue.
Okay, it's time for Salat.
Yeah, and he feels so, and he feels like he needs to go to the bathroom. But by the time he comes back, the second Juma, second Rakat is gone. Is Juma finished, or does he?
He prays Zuhur.
He plays Dhuhr, yeah?
Hey, you say he missed the Jama, he missed the Salah.
Even though he said
Yeah, he does pray Dhuhr because he missed the Salat with the Imam. He missed the Salat with the Imam.